But these guys think that we need to run away from all values in order for us to lead. I say, F you. How are we getting those people back from El Salvador?
What's up, guys? It's Benny. George Clooney is not a particularly smart man. George Clooney in 2021 blamed Joe Biden's bad polling on Donald Trump, not on Joe Biden.
You're a man you're a Democrat, but you're slightly to the left, as it were, in American politics.
Sure.
You're a friend of President Biden. You've known him for a long time.
Sure.
And looking at his poll numbers, which are really quite bad at the moment, things have gone wrong. What would you say about what's happened to the White House since he's taken over, and what's happened to America since he's taken over?
Well, I mean, it's, you know, you can't, it's like taking a battered child and thinking everything's going to be okay. And, you know, his first day in school, there's a lot of things that have to be repaired. You know, there's a lot of healing that has to happen. And it's going to take time. Poll numbers come up and go down. I would expect them to go back up again. You know, Donald Trump's numbers went up and down. He's
still there, prowling around in the rhododendrons.
Sure.
Yeah.
You know, he's going to be a factor for a while. It's so funny because, you know, he was just this knucklehead. I knew him before he was, you know, a president. He was just a guy who was chasing girls. You know, every time he went out, he'd come over and be like, "What's the name of that girl?" You know, that's all he was. And the idea that there's this whole group of people that, you know, that they think he's the champion of, which he certainly can't stand in real life. But, you know, he's gonna play this out for a while, and we'll see where we go with it
Where did we go with it? Well, where we went with it was all 7 swing states, the popular vote, and 90% of U.S. counties going to President Trump. And since Donald Trump is now in the White House, why don't we check in on George Clooney's career? George Clooney is, well, creating dreadful, laugh-free slogs to test the limits of what their careers can salvage. George Clooney has a abysmal Rotten Tomatoes score. You can see the vast majority of his recent films are rotten and are just absolutely panned by the critics and the audiences together. And George Clooney hasn't had a real hit of a movie in a long time. And this is why Quentin Tarantino says that George Clooney is not a movie star. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, look at this. The Good German from George Clooney, 34% and 33%. Anyway, it's been an absolute nightmare for George Clooney. And what has accelerated, of course, George's career decline is the fact that he is, well, getting into petty political bickerings. George Clooney was used by Barack Obama in order to get Joe Biden out of the race and out of the White House. This caused a major consternation from the Biden family. Hunter Biden snapping on George Clooney, saying this:
Hollywood actors voice more progressive opinions, but
Him and everybody around him. I don't have to be nice. Number one, I agree with Quentin Tarantino. George Clooney is not a actor. He is a I don't know what he is. He's a brand. And by the way, and God bless him. You know what? He supposedly treats his friends really well. You know what I mean? Buys them things. And he's got a really great place in Lake Como. And he's great friends with Barack Obama. What do you have to do with anything? Why do I have to listen to you? What right do you have to step on a man who's given 52 years of his life to the service of this country and decide that you, George Clooney, are going to take out basically a full-page ad in the New York Times to undermine the president at a time in which, by the way...
And George Clooney has decided now to fire back. George Clooney hints at loathing for Hunter Biden after angering former first son with op-eds calling for Joe Biden to stand down. George Clooney hinted at his detest for Hunter Biden as he fears his first son blasted the actor in an op-ed. Clooney is the leading financial donor to the Democrat Party, shared true feelings about Hunter in an interview with CBS this morning, saying that he would write a scathing piece even if he were given the opportunity again to get his dad to drop out. When asked if he saw Hunter's reaction to the op-ed, he repeatedly said F him about Clooney. The Ocean's 11 actor grinned before stating that a lot of what Hunter said is just outright lies. So here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go ahead and listen to George Clooney on Hunter Biden.
Did you see Hunter Biden's reaction?
Yeah, I saw it.
What did you make of it?
Well, I could spend a lot of time debunking many of the things he said, because many of the things he said were just outright lies. You know, Obama didn't put me up to it. It wasn't my fundraiser. It was my fundraiser. All the things. But the reality is, I don't think looking backwards like that is helpful to anyone, particularly to him. I don't think it's helpful for the Democratic Party. And so I'm just going to wish him well on his ongoing recovery, and I hope he does well, and just leave it at that. I have many personal opinions about it, but I don't find it to be helpful to have a public spat with him. So,
It's a remarkable clip here. I love the infighting in the Democrat Party. There's obviously going to be a lot of brokenness as the factions shatter and as they recoalesce around communism. Let's see if they can sell that to the American people. But nonetheless, those are battles for the days to come. This is a very interesting fight because it reveals exactly what happened in the 2024 election. It reveals that there is no Democrat Party, actually. There's just a couple of celebrities with big bank accounts and funding from some of the most evil corporations and entities on earth that just push and shove the candidates of their choosing into office or rip them out of office. This is the entire operation. This is what Hunter Biden has revealed. This is what George Clooney has revealed. And he's laughing in the faces of the first family, right? So Hunter Biden's the son of Joe Biden, the son of the president, and George Clooney's just laughing in his face and saying, screw you, dude, right? He did the same thing to Kamala. George Clooney on why Kamala didn't win. I think a mistake with it being Kamala is that she had to run against her own record. Oof. Not exactly a kind thing to say. Here we go.
we had a chance. I wanted there to be, as I wrote in the op-ed, a primary. Let's battle test this quickly and get it up and going. I think the mistake with it being Kamala is that she had to run against her own record. And it's very hard to do if the point of running is to say, I'm not that person. You know, it's hard to do. And so she was given a very tough task. I think it was a mistake, quite honestly, but we are where we are.
Yeah, this is George Clooney saying that Kamala Harris replacing Joe Biden was a mistake. Yikes. Yikes. Anyway, it was it's a fun battle. It's obviously something that, good to see George Clooney get his natural hair color back. Nobody's quite sure what the hell was going on here. But George Clooney spiraling, and for good reason. George Clooney, of course, doesn't look that healthy, and has said that he's going to step away from acting, which is a kind way of saying, I'm no good at this anymore, and nobody wants to go see my movies, and nobody wants to cast me in a movie, which is why he's doing Broadway plays, wandering into and refusing to shake his fans' hands, wandering into the backstage here, and maybe, hopefully, out the door for good. Seriously, when was the last time you saw a George Clooney movie that you liked? But I do like the drama between him and the Biden family. So you can keep that going. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. See you.